Hello, Mr. Ben Neff here. I want to give you an overview of what goes on in my class, specifically pre-algebra class. This is really for parents and other people who want to know how my class is structured. Now, one of the things that kids say, is Mr. Neff doesn't teach me. I've heard that over the years. Mr. Neff doesn't teach me. Very common. No, Mr. Neff does not hand the answer key out to the kids at the beginning of the year or at any point when they beckon and call for me to give them the answer, or do I give it right away or anything. I have a specific flow, though, to see that I definitely do teach them, and it's really set up for their success. So I'm going to go through the overview of my class so you get a picture of how it is structured for you and the general flow of my classroom. All right, and so and really here I'm going to zoom out so you can see where you see those green and stop signs. That means I'm doing assessments along the way. All right, so you see the flow that ultimately ends up down the happy face that says you might not see enrichment or extension at the end. And so let me go ahead and we'll zoom in here. All right, day one, I give the lesson. That's what it is. I present the lesson material, and the book actually sometimes have activities too. The example 1, 2, 3. Well, then the book has now you try called On Your Owns, and we complete those. And students are supposed to and expected not to just watch, not to just let anyone else do it, but they're expected to do it themselves and then get an answer. And if they get those correctly, if they get the On Your Owns correctly, they're ready to move on to their skill-based assignment that I give them for what they're doing. The skill-based assignment is not going to be all the hardest problems. That's not what homework's for. It's to put in ideas that or reinforce ideas that they've already had. And so they do that skill-based assignment, and if they're confused, they should look back in their book examples that match the skills. It even says basically see example 1, a little yellow circle says look example 1, and they go back and look at those. But we come in, or if they don't understand what they're doing, they're supposed to review their lesson again, ask teacher questions, and they can relook at it. They can even try out the first problem of their homework and then check with the teacher. Is this right? Did I do this right? And make sure they're on track with that. But it just gives them that affirmation they're on track or they need a little more work. Day 2, all right, we go over homework, and that in of itself is still a assessment, a formative assessment. Now, part of it is if mom and dad sit down, which I don't want parents to have to do this, and they shouldn't based on the way I teach, have to sit down and re-explain it and say things like, well, I don't know how I learned it differently than and then he's teaching and so forth, and that may be true, but you shouldn't have to do that because we've already went over it in class and the book's the resource there. But we stop and we look at how they did. If they got wrong, of course they're expected to correct that homework and get it done correctly. Once that's done, we move on to some application pieces to that, the stuff we want to do in class, so they don't have to do the hard word problems at home, and parents got to help them with that and so forth. So that's done in class. Once homework's correct, they can move on to that if they have time, and if done early, I do an extension problem. Now, on day 3 is when I actually give an assessment, and that is usually a 4 or 5 question assessment over the specific skills that they need to know in that section. And it's out of 4 points. Now, I used to never take it for a grade, but I found students were not taking it seriously, so I started taking that for a little 4-point quiz grade to help students take that more seriously. Now, again, I'm on their team. We're a team together tackling the math, and we're trying to conquer the math together. It's not them versus me. And so if they all bomb it, that tells me that they don't quite get it. It's a hard concept. Maybe I needed to reteach something. Maybe it's just a hard concept. So it's no one's fault, not their fault, not my fault. It's just the fact that it's a hard concept. So if we need to review that more, we might have a video, sit down one-on-one and go over mistakes. If it's just a few people, I'll collect them, I'll look through, and I'll notice things and pull kids back to my table to talk to them. If it's a whole class, well, then we're going to look at some other review options as well. And then they receive a practice worksheet and go on an enrichment and extension. Now let me tell you how this is structured. At the beginning of each chapter, they receive the targets that we're focused on. You can see very specific things we're doing. Writing an algebraic expression, evaluate an algebraic expression, simplify an algebraic expression. So when kids say, I don't know math, I'm not good at math, we're going to say things like, well, you need to say, I am good at writing algebraic expressions. I'm good at evaluating. I can't simplify them very well yet. Okay, I'm learning that process. Instead of that negative, well, I don't understand that, I'm terrible, the teachers mean to me, all the like negative attitudes that you hear, they can specifically say, oh, that I don't know. And they will make sure that they review. So they mark that target sheet from there how they're doing. Now, they also receive on the back of that, really it's actually on the salmon paper, salmon, pink, whatever you want to call it, the fishy color there that we have. So there's the assignments that are graded and collected. This isn't all we do, but this is what is expected and is graded. Now, to focus on instructing the children that I teach, the students that I teach, I enter that as one homework grade at the end of 9 weeks. I don't spend, or at the end of the chapter, I don't spend time entering in the grade book online every 2-point assignment. Now, I do share this. I try and share this with parents and let them know the assignments through messaging and so forth. The kids have this in their folder. They know that these are the assignments, and then I will tell them in class. They are informed regularly in class who my all-stars are. When I say all-star, I mean students who have all the assignments turned in. They may not got all the points. They might only got 1 point, but at least it is turned in. And so if I don't call their name, they know that they have to get it, and I usually even let them know what it is that they owe. So it's their responsibility to make it up. Let's zoom that out a little bit. And you can see the whole plan for the chapter sits. So we're going to take 2 quizzes. Here they are. And the test is out of 40 points. I pretty much always do it that way. I'm trying to always get out of 100 points. It works pretty well most of the time, so they can have a good idea how their chapter grade is A, B, C, D based upon that. With that. But the target sheets in this really is where it all starts, and that's where they're monitoring their progress, how they're doing on things, and so forth. All right, now let me show you what an assessment is here. This is what we give in class. Like I talk about assessing on day 3. Now I can pull this off because when we're in blocks, I stagger my lessons. I will teach 1-1 lesson. They build on each other, and this is okay to do. I found great success with this, and actually alternating their brain back and forth from these concepts actually helps solidify it in their brain and gives them that neuroelasticity to move back and forth. But here is an example of an assessment. I can solve one-step equations involving add and subtraction. So on day 3, I'm going to give them this assessment. And then I'll see, can they do that adding and subtracting? Oh wait, here's multiplication and division. Same concept as multiplication and division. So maybe they have one but not the other down. And so they're going to look at that and see where they are. Now if they don't get it, well, here's a good example of, oh, you know what, I get, I might have them do this whole worksheet, or I'll even have them divide up and say, oh, it looked like you got the first part good, so I want you to focus where you had your trouble, and write in 8 through 13. Do those. You can also do the word problems here as well, and then they can move on to the enrichment and do that problem there. Okay, if they got perfect score on their assessment, and they're moving right to the enrichment right away, or I might even say, go ahead and try this word problem out because that'd be really good for you as well once they're ready for it. So I'm always trying to meet people at their level. Now when you have 29 or 30 kids in a class, you just can't always get around to everybody perfectly. But this assessment piece gives them that feedback and helps empower kids to take ownership so they know, yeah, I'm not getting this, what do I need to do? And they help take care of each other, encourage each other along the way. So again, that you can see there's a lot of flow built into that, assessments along the way. It's not just going to be, oh, here's a quiz, I haven't helped you prepare what's expected. And sometimes parents will say, well, you counted that wrong. Did they know that this is what you wanted? Well, you can see, if I'm teaching, especially the way the book is, which I do 99% of the time, I'm just modeling what the book shows because it's not Neff-gebra, it's algebra, it's Al's creation. That was a joke. And so we're following what Al told us to do, and following that piece. And so they see right from day 1, this is what's expected. All right, day 2 we go over it. Here it is. Did you model it? And so forth. So they know a long way. So when it comes time for quiz or test, it's like, remember how I said that, 27,000 times? Well, that's an exaggeration, obviously, but I said it a lot, so they know what's expected of them. They also know on the target sheet where they need to work and where they need to review and what they know well, so they can stop just saying I'm bad at math. So that's an overview of how my class is structured, and hopefully you get a better idea next time your child says, Mr. Neff doesn't teach me. You'll be able to say, well, either he created a really elaborate video of made up stuff, or I got a pretty good idea he is instructing you, and he's there to help you. Any questions, of course, I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much. Mr. Neff signing off.